I feel that the iPad has made me a more effective teacher. The use of it in my classroom can help me be more effective in getting my students to learn not only information but real-world skills, which is ultimately a goal of education. Using the iPad allows them to learn information, process it, and show that they've learned it in a way that is familiar to them, since they are surrounded by technology all the time and they use it all the time. And it also allows me to guide them in what will be or how they would use my subject area, the things they're learning in my classroom, in a real-world application, because we have access to it via the use of technology and the iPad versus your traditional textbook.
They love it. It has become a reward for them. Like when they're working, I hear one student says, iPad now, iPad now. And my kids are typically nonverbal and they repeat a lot of things. Like when I have one that just repeats and he's always constantly saying, iPad now, iPad now. And so it's been very beneficial in my classroom. It's something that interests them. So if it interests them, they're going to want to do it. And so if I have a communication board and they want to use the iPad, they'd be more willing to follow the schedule or use their communication board or to follow their schedule throughout the day using the iPad.
To be honest, we really don't need iPads, but in the same sense, we don't really need cars. We don't really need telephones, but we use them because they make our life easier. And iPads are the same way. We've been teaching for years without them, but having them adds another dimension that wouldn't otherwise exist. One of the activities I did in my Earth and Space Science class is they had to compare topographic maps to aerial photography. And so I had them look at topographic maps, and then I pulled up Google Earth, and they were able to compare what they saw on a map with what they saw on Google Earth. And they could manipulate that, and they were able to make those connections. So it was just a matter of them looking at pictures. Pictures are great, except for you can't manipulate a picture. And so with Google Earth, you're able to turn that around, the picture around, and manipulate it and change the image so that you can see, and so you can make those comparisons that you wouldn't be able to make otherwise.
Having iPads in the classroom allows my students to take charge of their own learning. Instead of me standing at the front presenting all of the content, I can give them a problem to solve. They can go out and do it. I feel that they're much more productive throughout the day when we're in class. More productivity in class equates to less homework later, and I think that's a great thing for everybody involved. Another really wonderful thing about using these iPads in our classrooms is that we're able to differentiate our curriculum to meet the needs of all of our students. I have several classes that require 2 teachers to be present with the students because there are so many different ability levels in the classroom. I feel that the iPad has really helped us bridge that gap, because where one learner might have less knowledge of a content and another one's way up here, when we can pair them together in a group and they can find things on the iPad that each of them can explain to the other, it comes together beautifully. And that is true differentiation of that instruction, which is highly, highly important in today's changing society.
Using the iPad rather than another presentation type of device. Say, for instance, I have the kids watching a video and then answering questions about what they just saw. Instead of me just showing it once, they have the ability to go back and watch it a second time if they didn't catch something the first time. So being able to present information to them on the iPad is much more beneficial than maybe just the TV screen or even a projector.
best thing about bringing technology in the room is you can feel that energy when you distribute that to the kids. And, you know, if that's another way to engage them, how can you say no to that? The technology, though, is not just, it can't be treated as a toy. It has to be treated as woven into the curriculum. It has to be used as a tool to weave the curriculum into the curriculum and help the students master the objectives that they're supposed to have. We've had a lot of Windows-based computers that were tied down, you know, landlocked. These allow students to move around the building and access information everywhere. We've had students in the hallways doing assignments where they're doing experiments and using the iPad. I've seen kids sitting in the hall writing essays while the rest of their class is doing something. All of that mobility allows students to access learning in many different areas of the school.